Okay, today's project is to clean up this small vise. It's a Littlestown Howe and Foundry Company, made in the USA. This is the number 40. And it's got just over 4-inch jaws. And this one's actually in pretty good shape. It's got the original, what I assume is the original green paint. I've got another vise just off, just out of frame here that is the same manufacturer. It's a little bit smaller, it's a number 25, and it's the same green color. So I'm assuming that they came from the factory, this green color. It's got a little bit of surface rust on it. The lead screw is, it's a bit dry. I think it needs a little bit of oil. It does this weird kind of chattering thing when you crank it open. Of course, now that the camera's rolling, it's making a liar out of me. There we go, it's on the way in. So I'm just going to take this apart down to its separate components, and then from there we can clean everything up. We'll hit it with a wire wheel anywhere there is some rust, some surface rust. I don't want to remove the paint. I really like the original green paint on these vices, so I'm not going to strip it, but I do want to kind of wire wheel off any of that surface rust that I can get. And I'll clean up the handles with a wire wheel and we'll oil it. This one's going to be pretty easy. So here is you can see the main bar and the lead screw. And there is there's a cotter pin and a washer. So we'll take that cotter pin out, and then we can go. I'll probably hose these parts off with some degreaser and clean them up. Okay, here you can see, maybe, there we go. I've got my vise in a vise. This is the number 25. So this cotter pin, the tabs broke off, but they're still kind of bent out so that the broken ends are wider than the hole. So I've got a punch here. I'm just going to see if I can kind of tap those down through. So now I've got the rounded end of the pin, and I'm going to try to pull that out. Okay. You know, it's in there pretty good, and I don't care to fight with it for an hour just to get the screw out so I can wire wheel it, because that's all I was going to do. So what I'll do is I'll leave it in there, and I will wire wheel the handle and the end of the screw in place. That's fine. So here's the body, and it's got the swivel bottom. So I'm going to unscrew the swivel lock here. Framing. Get it in the frame. Okay, so loosening this. So that comes right off. That just screws on. And there is a square nut that screws into this handle here. So now you can see the hole here where that went, and there's a groove cut in the bottom of the base that gives it that range of travel. So that looks like bigger than 11/16. 3/4. Let's see if I can get that. Alright, and there's a short nut, bolt, sorry. And the base comes right off. The base is in good shape. It's not very rusty. There's a little rust on the bottom, down here. And the body itself is also in pretty decent shape. It looks like it was greased at one point, so that's good. Very little rust, just on the outside. So, like I said, we'll soak these down in some simple green degreaser to kind of loosen up that, crud and grease and grime. So when we clean it up, hopefully it'll look nice. So I just have a clutterware bin here that I usually do this in. Let's see here. And I like this simple green because it's pretty effective and it's not too nasty to work with. And it's pretty easy to find. And then I just have a stainless steel brush, and I'll just scrub these down real quick. Here again. Focus, you fuck. Is the body. Got just a little rust here on this flat surface. And a little bit back down here, but that actually could just be grease and grime. It's actually probably grime. Yeah, it scrapes off. Nice. These wire brushes work really nice for removing grime without removing paint. Yeah, it's more work for sure than like a wire wheel on an angle grinder, because you have to do it by yourself, elbow grease. I just removed all kinds of stuff, grease, grime, and other schmoo off the side of this thing without damaging the paint. So now, yum. All right, so I'm gonna take these out into the driveway and hose them off to rinse them clean, and then I'll hit them with some WD-40 on the bare metal so they don't flash rust once they're dried off. And while those are drying, I will work on the handles for the swivel lock and the swivel, or the handle of the vise, the lead screw. Okay, so I've hosed everything off, and let me get a rag. So I've hosed everything off, and now I'm going to dry them. So this is interesting. I don't know. I didn't notice this before. I don't know if you guys will be able to see it. The number 4 stamped in the base. I don't know the significance of that. If you do, leave a comment. If you know why the number 4 is stamped on the bottom of the swivel base, I want to know. Tell me. Okay, and here's the body. The paint on it is in really good shape. Surprisingly good shape, actually. The top has collected more grime and abuse. There's some paint stains on it. So I'll probably spend a little more time with the wire brush trying to remove that. Just because this is nice and clean on the sides, it's gross on the top, and I'm weird and that bothers me. Here's the dynamic jaw. It's still kind of gross, so I'm going to brush these some more just because I can't help myself, and then I'll rinse them again. Alright, got the wire wheel and the angle grinder here. I'm just going to wire wheel and clean up these rusty spots. These things are terrifying. So this is pretty coarse, actually. And it's not leaving as nice of a finish as I wanted. So I'm gonna have to buy one of the finer wheels. This is like twisted carbon steel or whatever, and it's actually removing some material, which is not what I want. So I'll save this for, I don't even know. So I'll have to get a different wire wheel because my other like finer wheel is shot. So I guess cut. All right, so since the wire wheel I have is not working the way I want it to, I have one of these rapid strip wheels on here. So let's see how that does. Thing's loud. But it does a nice job. So I don't know if you guys can see, but this is nice and shiny now. It removes that rust and scale. Does a nice job. But it doesn't remove as much material as like a flap disc or anything like that. But it does remove it a little bit. It does have an abrasive built into it, but it's a lot finer than like a flap disc. And it does a decent job. So I'll do the jaw here too. Okay, so this one's cleaned up also. All right, now I'm going to use the wire wheel on my bench grinder to clean up this words are hard. This is the lock that, holy crap. So I'm going to use the bench grinder here to, so I'm going to use the wire wheel on my bench grinder to clean up the swivel lock, and also I'm going to try to do the main screw, the front of the main screw and the handle as well in the dynamic jaw. So here we go. All right. There it is. So I'm just going to do the same thing to the handle on the lead screw. I won't bore you with filming that because this took 5 minutes just to do this. And now I'm going to do this. So I'll catch up with you once I'm done. Okay, I've cleaned up the handle, so it looks a lot nicer. And at this point, everything is ready to go back together. I'm going to oil everything with some 3-in-1 oil. It's a light oil. I don't use a heavy grease on some of these smaller vices. I just don't think it's necessary. I'll spray everything down with WD-40, just, you know, for good measure, and then I will lubricate everything with 3-in-1 oil. All right. I'm missing something. There it is. So here is the screw that mounts the base to the body of the vise. Screw that in. Actually, okay. Now I've got this is the bolt that screws into the swivel handle. So I'll drop that in here. It's, I don't know if you guys will be able to tell. Probably not. But this side right here is actually rounded a little bit, so it matches the inside of the base here. It fits it a little bit better, so I'm putting that curved side against the bottom of the base. So that's going in like so. Flip it over, and then I can take the swivel lock and screw that down. All right. And now I'll feed the dynamic jaw in. And again, I'm going to use just some light 3-in-1 oil on the threads. Alright, so now that that has been oiled, it should open and close a little bit nicer. Remember, it was dry before. I guess it still does chatter a little bit. I wonder if it needs a little bit more. A little more lube. So there's a little for the threads, and I'll spin this over and I'll put some on the bar here of the dynamic jaw. So as it slides down in, as it slides into the body of the vise, it's got lubrication on the bottom. Still got a little bit of chatter to it. It's nice on the way out. But on the way back in, it's got a little bit of a vibration to it. So I'm not sure if that's a... if I put a little... I'm going to put a little dab... Oh, let me zoom you guys out so you can see what I'm talking about. I'm going to put a small drop of oil behind the, right behind this cap part of the main screw where it touches the face of the dynamic jaw. I wonder if a little bit of lubricity there would do it a little bit of good. Oops. I think that was it. I think the casting on the front here is just a little bit rough, and where the lead screw touches it and it's pushing the dynamic jaw in, where those two surfaces meet. I think it was creating some rubbing. So with a little drop of oil on there, it's nice. Okay, so this is done. I'm happy with this. This one was in really good shape. There wasn't a whole lot to be done to it, just some simple maintenance. I did not succeed in getting this cotter pin out. There's a cotter pin and a washer here, then that's what holds the lead screw into the dynamic jaw, and that bugs me. So what I will do is I'll find the correct size punch and punch that out, or hook the cotter pin and pull it out, and I will replace it with a brand new cotter pin that is the correct size. I don't currently have any cotter pins. So it's done, asterisk. Not done because it needs a new cotter pin. But yeah, I'm pleased with that. And I'm actually really happy because all that grease came off nicely, so you can see the nice original factory paint is still in good shape. So let me put this one next to the other one. And there you have it, folks. The number 25, which did not get the same level of TLC that the 400 did. But there it is. This is a little over 4 inches, and this is about 3.5, I think. Yep, 3.5. So it's cool. I've got a little one and a little bit bigger one. I don't know what the future holds for this particular vise. This one may replace this one because it's just a little bit bigger without being too big. I like a small bench vise on the corner of the bench for working on little stuff because it doesn't get in the way, but it's handy to have. This one is in nicer condition and a little bit larger, which makes it a little bit more practical than this one. So who knows? Maybe I'll clean this one up a little bit better so it's a little bit nicer like this one, and maybe I'll sell this one. Or maybe I'll keep them forever because they're like twins and it would be a shame to separate them. I don't know. What do you guys think? Should I keep these or should I sell them and make room for something else? I certainly have plenty of options at this point for vices. I think I have, I'm going to count the vices I can see right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I've got 7 vices in this room right now. You can kind of see them hiding down here. I've got a Monarch on the floor, and there's a Prentice Trojan lurking over there. I've got an Athol vise on the other workbench, and you saw me using the big mystery swivel jaw vise earlier to clamp the jaw on this when I was working on it. So there's no need for me to replace this one on the bench, but I don't know, change is good. I don't know, tell me what you think. If you stuck around, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate that. I'm new here on YouTube. I've only got 10 videos or whatever, but you'll probably see every one of those vices I just counted in a video at some point. I really enjoy these little projects, and if you're like me and you like bench vices and tool restorations and that sort of thing, then I think you would like my channel. I've already got a couple projects, restoration projects posted. This one will be up, well, now because you're watching it, and as I work on other Vise restorations, those will get posted too. And leave me a comment, give me a thumbs up on stuff that you like. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about these projects. So I value your opinion to an extent, and I'd like to hear what you have to say. So thanks for watching, and keep your digging advice.